mailbox, but now we get those in our email boxes. And so these types of things are not necessarily scams. They're just things that you may have signed up for and you get them periodically. However, what scam emails will be some type of urgent action. They want you to take some kind of action. And they try to make it sound urgent so that you react pretty quickly, whether it may be an urgent action on your account, maybe an update to your credit card or your credit card information. Maybe they're asking you to provide sensitive information, or they might want you to view a download or an attachment, or maybe click a link. And so, whenever you get mail where there's like an urgent action or some action for you to take, you definitely want to pause for a moment and question whether or not what you're looking at is going to be legitimate or whether it's going to be fraud. And so, again, anytime there's an urgent action, again, you want to slow down and think about it before you click anything, before you download anything, or before you take any action on that email. And so basically, again, junk email is just going to be basic stuff, but scam emails are going to often always have an urgent or an action for you to take.
Mm.
The next thing is you're going to look at the sender information. Who's sending you that email? And so the questions you want to ask yourself is, does the email address match the sender? And what I mean by that is, what comes after the @ sign in an email address? We're all very familiar with email addresses. There's something before the @ sign, and then something after the @ sign. And what you're asking yourself is, does what comes after the @ sign match the company name or the company server? And then you also want to ask yourself is, if what comes after the @ sign, is that spelled correctly? If it matches the name of the organization that you're working with, whoever sent the email. And because all legitimate emails will have matching or familiar server names that go along with who may have sent that email. And I'll show you what I mean. So we know, again, there are three parts to an email. There's the sender name, there's the @ sign, and then there's the server name, or the sender server, whoever's sending that email, the server that it came from. And so the sender name can be anything we want it to be. In fact, if we have an email address, we've made up our own name in the front. So if your name is Michael Jones, you may have chosen M. Jones. Or if it's a company email, they can put returns in the front if this is a return email address, if they want to return something there. They could put billing in front of that @ sign. Again, they could put anything they want, customer service at whoever sent that to you. However, the sender server always matches the whoever sent that email. So in other words, Amazon.com is a server name that no one else can use. And so no one else can fake it coming from Amazon.com. The same is true for Apple. That server name is always going to be Apple or some derivative of Apple.com. Again, same is true for Walmart and many other organizations. If you ever look at that server name, and it's just like your email is always going to be gmail.com, AOL.com. Again, that server stays static. For Target, it may look something like this, but this, as you can tell, Target is spelled incorrectly. And this is one of the ways that scammers try to fool you and to trick you thinking that something is coming from Target, because they can put Target out front. But if you don't look at the back of that to confirm that is Target, it could look like Target, but be spelled slightly off to try to trick you and fool you to make you think that it's a legitimate email. So you always want to look at that sender server to figure out who's sending you that email. Sometimes, if it's not a legitimate server, again, it could say Target out front and have some random letters or numbers in the back. That .uk means it's coming from the United Kingdom. Again, it could say Apple out front. It could say Amazon out front, because they can change the front of that email to match whatever they want. Sometimes it may have something like this. I believe Wordplay is some type of marketing corporation, and they're usually trying to collect information that they can later on sell, whether it be your name, your email, your phone number. And so what we're going to do, this is an actual email and that was sent to me, and this is a fake email. Now, if you look at it, everything about the email in the body looks like it's coming from Amazon. It's
Right.
Amazon, it's a message from customer service. But this section here at the top is where all the sender and recipient information is. I'm going to blow that up for you so you can see it. So it says notice slash Amazon slash accounts AJG3, but behind the at sign, it does not say Amazon.com. It has alerts 12 logins.com, all of the stuff that tells me that Amazon.com did not send this email to me. So automatically, looking at that information, I know that email is fake. Here's another one. Looking at the body, it says, oh no, your Prime benefits are on hold due to a billing issue. And they have a button for me to click to update my payment information. Here's an urgent action they're asking me for. And at the top, up here, if I go back at the top, it says notice, as if there's a notice they're sending me. If I right click on that, it shows me the full email address. And so I'm going to blow that section up for you so you can see it. And if you look at that email address, nothing in there is about Prime or Amazon. It says CMS, bunch of numbers, and behind the at sign, it says lockedaccount.security.com. However, this is supposedly coming from Amazon, so this should be an Amazon.com address behind there. And so again, by right-clicking on what they have out front, I can see the exposure to the entire email address. And that's one way you can figure out whether something is legitimate or fake. Here's an actual Amazon email that they was sent to me. And it says, Dear Sean, we noticed that you're not taking full advantage of your Prime membership. They want me to spend more money. I don't know if that's an urgent action, but they do want me to do something. So I want to look at right-clicking on it says Amazon.com. I'm going to right-click on it, and I can see the full email address, and it says stored news at Amazon.com. So I know that this is a legitimate Amazon email that's coming to me. Right? So the next thing we're going to do is we just looked at the sender info. Now we're going to look at this recipient info. Who's receiving that email? And the question is, are you the recipient of the email? Is the email addressed to you, or is it addressed to you and or other people? Does your address appear in the to line or the CC line or the BCC line? CC, of course, stands for carbon copy. BCC stands for blind carbon copy. We'll talk about that in a second. And then it says real emails will be addressed to you and no one else, and your email address will appear in the to line. So here's what we're talking about. Everyone knows that there's a to line in an email. That should always be your name or your email address. And then BCC stands for blind carbon copy. And what that means is they've mailed this email to you, but they've also mailed it to other people that you can't see. And in that line, it may sometimes say undisclosed recipients. That's a bad sign, meaning if you see a BCC line in an email that's asking you for an urgent action about your account, that means they sent this email to other people, not just you. And that means it's probably going to be a fake email address. And then there's also sometimes a reply to line. That reply to line should always be the same people that sent it to you. If it's anyone else other than the people that sent it to you, again, some red flags should go off. So we're going to look at some fake emails, some actual emails, and we'll look at those types of information, those pieces of information. So this is one we've seen before. I'm going to blow up what's at the top right there. So you can see this is, again, they're telling me my Amazon Prime benefits have been on hold or canceled. And when I look at the to line, it says it's going to undisclosed recipients. And then I appear that REVSLS1 at Comcast. That's my actual email address. It's showing me in the blind carbon copy line, which tells me they sent this same email to other people. I don't know how many other people, but then I also got copied on it. So why is my email about my Prime benefits going to a bunch of other people? Is the question I want to ask myself. And again, it gives me an indication that this email is fraudulent. We're going to look at this email again. This is another one that they're telling me about my Amazon benefits, that someone's trying to log into my account, and so they deactivated my account. And so when I look at the to line, again, that REVSLS1 is my email address. But then it says reply to, and it has my email address again. And so automatically, again, at the top, we know that the email that is coming from is fake, but also the other thing that looks fake is the fact that they're telling me to reply to myself. And again, that's a huge red flag that this is going to be a fake email. Now, this is an Amazon email. They're asking me, of course, to buy something again. And when I look at the email address, it says Amazon.com and it's directed to me, which is telling me that it's an actual email. This is one we looked at before where we've already done the right click on the Amazon.com up there and it said it had an Amazon.com server. And this one is coming directly to me. So that one is a legitimate email. So we've looked at whether or not there's an urgent call for action. We looked at the sender information. We looked at the recipient information. Now we're going to look at the greeting of an email. So does the greeting have your name in it? And typically, if you have a relationship with an organization, they send an email and it has your name on it. The question you want to ask yourself is, does it say something like dear customer or hello, or is the greeting missing altogether? Typically, legitimate emails, again, from organizations or companies or merchants that you deal with on a regular basis, they use your name in the greeting of the email. And so we're going to look at an example. We just saw this one. It's telling me that my Prime benefits are on hold due to a billing issue. And then it just says hello. Now, what I know is Amazon knows exactly who I am. They know exactly how to find me. They know my name. And so the fact that they just have hello here makes it a questionable whether or not it's something legitimate. Again, looking at that, it just says hello. It doesn't say dear customer. It doesn't say dear Sean. It doesn't say Sean, we've got something for you. It just says hello. So there's a red flag. Here's another one. Again, it's telling me that my account has been suspended. And when I blow up the body of that email where it has the greeting, it says dear customers with an S. So it's telling me that this went to someone other than me. Who are these customers that they're talking about my account to? And that becomes a huge red flag for whether or not this might be a legitimate or fake email. And again, here is Amazon. This is legitimate. Amazon sending me this email. And right there, big as day, says, hello, Sean. Because again, they know exactly who I am. They know exactly how to find me. They deliver to my house far too many times throughout the week because I work with them probably way too often. So the last thing that we're going to look at is the grammar in an email. And so what we know about the grammar sometimes is that it's not always correct. And the question is, why are there grammatical errors or are there grammatical errors in the body of the email? Are there misspellings in the email or other spelling errors? Because legitimate emails will typically have no spelling errors or no grammatical errors. Now, marketing companies and these huge firms spend millions of dollars a year to make sure they send out information correctly. The reason that we end up sometimes with some grammatical errors is because sometimes we know these emails originate in foreign countries. And in those countries, they put the email in their own language and then they try to translate it into English. And sometimes there aren't direct translations from one language to the other. And so there ends up being some misspellings. And that's one way that we get tipped off. Unfortunately, AI is becoming more advanced, and it makes it more and more difficult nowadays for those types of errors to happen. But especially currently now, if they are occurring, then again, that should be a red flag. So we're going to look at some of these emails. This is one supposedly from Amazon. I'm going to blow this part up so you can see it, and I'll give you a couple seconds to read that, and then I'll tell you where the error is if you don't find it. So if you missed it, right in the very first line, it says, hello, your Amazon account where placed on hold and all pending orders. First of all, the whole sentence doesn't make sense, but that where, I think it should be was. Your Amazon account was placed on hold and all pending orders. And again, the sentence itself, the structure of it is terrible. But that's certainly that where, that's a big indication that that's going to be a fraudulent email. No one's going to, Amazon especially, is not going to send out an email like that. Here's another one. Again, I'm going to blow that section up and give you a second to read it to see if you can find the error. So, reading in that first paragraph, it says, someone is trying to log into your account. Therefore, we have temporarily deactivated your account. We believe an unauthorized party may have accessed your account. There is no as a single standalone word in the English language. And so, of course, that's a huge indication that, wait a minute, there's something wrong there. Someone who put this together did not put it together correctly. And again, a big company like Amazon or Apple or whoever, they're going to do all they can never to send out something like this. And typically, if there is an error, they will send another email as a backup to say, hey, we had an error in our last email. I've had that happen a few times. So we're going to have a short quiz here to tell whether or not an email is real or fake. I think we're going to look at about 3 emails and we're going to see whether or not they might be real or whether or not they might be fake. So I will show you the email, give you a few minutes. I'll tell you the parts that we're looking at and give you an opportunity to examine it. And you can kind of test yourself as we go through this.
Good.
So here's an email that I got. Apparently it's from Apple because I'm looking at the little Apple logo. I'm looking at the little Apple logo, and I'm going to blow up the top portion of this email, I believe. Yep, right there. And I want you to take a couple seconds to look at it and determine for yourself if it's real or fake. And then I'm going to tell you whether it is or not. So if you haven't guessed by now, this is a fake email. And the reason that I know right away is because it says to, and it's sending the email to Apple, which it should be coming to me. And then it has me in the blind carbon copy, which means that they sent this blindly to other folks as well as me. And I just can't see who it is. Now, I will tell you that I almost got suckered by this email because it's telling me that this is the receipt for something that happened on my account. And I went to almost click on the account, but then I didn't click on anything in here. And I went to my account to see, wait, I didn't order this. This is not something that I ordered. And as I continue to look at this email, nothing on this email says Apple. It just says app and app support. And so I almost got it. They almost got me on this one until I realized, again, they were sending it to someone who wasn't me. And then they were also blind carbon copying, which means they sent it probably to a lot of people that weren't me. So here's the next one. This is supposedly from Crate and Barrel. I think I'm going to blow up this top part for you just to see, but I'll let you read the body of it first. And there's that top portion. I'll give you a couple seconds just to see for yourself what you think. All right, so this is an actual legitimate email. So it is from Crate and Barrel. It is directed to me, RAVSLS at Comcast. That's my email address. And it has a reply to Crate and Barrel. And if you read the body, they're not asking me for an urgent action. They're trying, let's get brewing is not necessarily urgent, but they're trying to sell me something, obviously. And actually, if I right click on the name Crate and Barrel up there, it also says at crateandbarrel.com. So one last one. This one says, oh, it's not, well, there's one after this actually. So this one says it's from Geico. So I'll give you a second to look at it. And then I'm going to blow up the top portion here where I've right clicked on the name of it. And as you can see here, even though it says Geico and everything about the email says Geico, when I right click on the email address, nothing in that email address says Geico. And so that lets me know that whatever they might be asking me to do, I definitely want to have some red flags going up. Now, this may be just an advertisement, but this is how they fool you into thinking that they're actually getting information from a specific company, and really it's not from Geico. All right, this is the last one. So this is a package notification from FedEx. And they're telling me that they've missed me. They need me to, they wanted to deliver something to me, but they missed out on getting me. They need need me to check here so that I can get my delivery updated. And so I'm going to blow up the top portion here. And so it's package notification. It is directed towards me. And then the reply to is back to package notification. Sorry we missed you. Schedule your next delivery date. Now, from the looks of this, it looks like it came from FedEx, which is what I'm going to assume. When I blow that up again, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to right click on the package notification. Everything else looks legit. I'm going to right click on the package notification. And when I do that, nothing in that email address says FedEx. And so that automatically tells me that this did not come from FedEx. It's someone's survey rewards or what have you, but it's not what they're purporting it to be. So that's what happens. So now when we get one of these phishing emails, the question is, what do I do with it? What we want to do with it is, the first thing is question it. Do I have a relationship with the sender? When I'm looking at that email, question whether or not you have a relationship with that sender. And then whatever you do not click on anything, do not download anything, do not press any buttons. The way some of these emails can be set up is the things that they have you click could be activating some type of malware download to your device. And so even though they're telling you, oh, click here to update your information, they could be actually clicking to download something onto your device, the same way that you would do any other kind of thing that you want to download. They're telling you that it's one thing, but it's actually something else going on. And if they get malware on your device, they can sometimes have access to everything that's on your device. They can monitor your device remotely and see where you log in and how you log in, or they can pull information from your device, so they can pull in your passwords and your email addresses and your usernames. And so by clicking on things, you're putting yourself in danger. Sometimes they may say update your account information. If you click on the update your account information, it may take you to a fake page that looks like the actual merchant login page. And then you put in your login credentials and it doesn't go anywhere because they just are collecting your login credentials for that website. And so by clicking, you expose yourself to numerous opportunities for scammers to scam you. So again, don't open or download anything, don't click anything. But what you can do is you can report emails if you'd like. So there's a group called the Anti-Phishing Work Group, and they have a website or an email address that you can just forward these fraudulent emails to. It's reportphishing@apwg.org. Now, they don't investigate. What they're trying to do is they're trying to collect information about these fraudulent emails. And that information becomes helpful because it helps them to understand how the emailers or how the scammers are using these emails, both from a social aspect, how they're trying to trick you, but also what kind of links and what kind of downloads they're actually using to try to steal your information. And then, of course, if you like, you don't have to forward it anywhere. You can just delete it. Deleting it or even opening it and looking at the email doesn't do any harm to your account, doesn't do any harm to your device, but certainly clicking and downloading could be doing some harm. And again, you don't have to do anything with it. If you like, you can just delete that email. Now, if you're a victim of an email or a phishing attack, is what we call it, then what you want to do is you want to change all of your passwords to your accounts. So let's say you happen to click on a fake email from Apple or American Express or one of the merchants you deal with, and you realize after you've clicked it and you've given them some information that is actually fake. You want to change the passwords to that particular account. But then also, if you can, you want to contact the company by forwarding the email to their fraud department. Contact them and let them know that, hey, this is one of the ways that people have been trying to defraud me. If you have ever gotten a software update, some of the software updates are built around trying to prevent scammers from downloading malware to your device. And so those updates protect your computer. And so sometimes the ways they know how to create those updates are from people sending in information like this. You want to scan for viruses on your computer, on your software, to make sure that by clicking or downloading or participating in this particular scam, you did not unwittingly download something to your device. And then watch out for signs of identity theft. Check your accounts, check your credit statements and your credit reports to make sure that no one's actively doing anything on your accounts. And then also, if you like, you can file a report with the FTC. The FTC is the Federal Trade Commission, and they collect this type of data. And this type of data helps them to notify Congress and other federal authorities about regulatory policies that they can write, but also laws that they can change around these companies to help keep citizens like ourselves safe. The other thing I will add is whenever your software company, your device company, if it's Apple, your operating system sends you a software update, you want to update that software because again, they're using that software update to put protective services on your device so that it makes it harder for scammers to log into your device or to scam you through some of the malware that they have. So with that said, before we get to questions, I do want to share one other screen with you. This is recently an email that I received. These are two emails from American Express. One is on the right, which is the legitimate email from American Express, and one is on the left. I actually got this week. One came Thursday, which was legitimate. One came Saturday. And as you can see, the one on the left, they're telling me that my account was suspended and they want me to restore access by clicking this button. And when I looked at it, of course, I kind of freaked out. I was like, wait, why is my account suspended? But then I noticed they put "Dear" and they sent it to my email address as opposed to my name. As you can see from my legitimate email, they know exactly who I am. Sean, your new Amex offers are inside. Now, of course, when I click on if I right click on this Amex, it'll show me the email address, American Express at members@americanexpress.com. However, if I right click on this one, it says something that doesn't say American Express. And I also noticed that up here, American Express is capitalized. And on the fake email, Express is not capitalized. And so this, again, is exactly how these emails happen. And as legitimate as this one email looks, it has, if you scroll through, this is the legitimate email that I'm scrolling through currently, and it shows you all this wonderful stuff at the bottom. This one tried to duplicate that. And it just makes you think that this is the same email, it's coming from the same place, and it looks extremely legitimate, which means you have to be extremely careful when you get things like this. And again, when they're asking you to do something urgent, especially providing information, you definitely want to pause before you do that because you could be putting yourself in position to be scammed. And with that, I'll ask, are there any questions?
Looking in the chat and let's see. Unauthorized. When you report an email as spam, what happens? Good question.
Great question. So when you report an email, and depending on who you report it to, so I said earlier, you can forward it to APWG, which is the anti-phishing work group, and they study those emails to learn the tactics that scammers are using. When you report those emails to the companies that are being impersonated in those emails, they use that information to create software updates and sometimes send out notices to people. And then if you report those things to the FTC, again, they use that information to try to firm up laws and regulatory requirements for companies so that these things don't happen. I will say this. If you have an opportunity, we didn't talk about it here, but text messages are another way that people get scammed. And some of the rules behind text messages are the exact same rules behind email messages. Knowing who it came from, even though it's coming to your device, if you don't recognize who it's coming from, that's a huge red flag. The other part is if it has links that it wants you to go to, clicking on those links could be downloading things to your device. When you have the opportunity And on most smartphones, to delete this, it gives you the option of deleting or deleting and reporting. When you have that option, you should always hit delete and report. When you report these emails or these text messages, what's happening is you're sending a message back to your carrier. Your carrier is monitoring where these text messages are coming from. When people send you those fraudulent text messages, no one's sitting there and typing in your phone number and sending you that text message. They're going through some type of service where that's sending out mass text messages, 20, 30, 40,000 text messages at a time. And so when you report and delete, it's your carrier identifies the service who's sending that out. And then what law enforcement can do is they can identify those services and get them to stop it. And so in Virginia, our attorney general, as well as 13 other attorney generals across the country, have taken the information from those carriers. They've identified 4 to 5 different services that are responsible for over, I believe it's 100,000 of these text messages that have gone out. And they've been able to identify those servers that sent them out and sent them cease and desist letters. And the reason they know who these servers are is because people hit report and delete. So they're able to send them cease and desist letters for these types of text messages, which then sets them up to put them in a position where they can prosecute these companies for sending out this type of fraudulent and these types of fraudulent text messages. So anytime you have the opportunity to report, it does help individuals or does help law enforcement to prevent these things from happening. Other questions?
I don't see anything else in the chat. So it's interesting. I had an email come through this week. And it was really hard to tell. And I think it came into the Aging Together information box, general information, but it said like I broke my leg and I'm in a lot of and it's not good or something. And it seemed like a legit name that it was from. But that's all it said, so it was very strange. So I shared it with Anne. I said, does this person look familiar to you? And she didn't recognize the name. So we just weren't sure.
Were they asking you to do anything urgent?
No,
And no links or anything to download or phone
no,
numbers to call?
no, 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 nothing like that. That's why it was kind of hard to tell.
Yeah. I mean, let's say it was legitimate. Was there anything you could do about that? Or,
Not really. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. So I was a little afraid to write back, but I guess that would be,
So, yeah,
um, yeah.
responding back is not a huge problem
Okay.
as long as you're not
Okay.
clicking on anything. For an agency like
Gotcha.
yours, those types of things happen. Sometimes we get phone calls, and the people that call us don't provide enough information for us to know what they want specifically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so replying to something like that could be okay.
Okay.
But certainly taking any action that they put in the link or a download or something like that should not be much of a problem. Now, with that said, uh, one thing that you want to be aware of is there are scams that are being perpetrated primarily on text messages where, and we probably have all seen this, where you just get a random text message and it says, "Hey, how are you today?" Or
Mm-hmm.
"Hello," or "Hey, did you get what I sent you?"
Mm-hmm.
This is a huge scam that's been reported hundreds of times, thousands of times over the last couple of years. And basically, this is part of what they call a pig butchering scam. And it usually ends up being a financial scam where individuals will reach out randomly, and us being polite as humans will write back and say, "Hey, you have the wrong text message. Who are you trying to reach?" Or, we respond to
Mm-hmm.
that. And then they start to engage you into this relationship, this conversation. And next thing you know, you guys are texting back and forth daily. Little do you know
Mm.
that they're setting you up to then invest in something they've got. They start to entice you by sending pictures of their lavish lifestyle, and they're telling you, "Oh, I don't have a job. I'm making money by this. Then they send you an app with a link to an app where you sign
Wow.
up and then you start to invest. And then your investment starts to grow and you get really excited and you invest more and you invest more. And this could go on for months, could go on for years until it comes to the point where you're trying to take your money out, only to realize that the app was fake, that the growth in funds were fake,
Gosh.
and they just wanted your money. Those things are less likely. We haven't seen that, or at least I haven't seen reports of that via email, but certainly through those random text messages, those types of things
Wow.
happen.
Wow. Well, connected to that in a way is the next question on the chat, which is if you get scammed of money, is there any way to get it back?
That's a great question. And my answer to that is it depends.
Mhm.
Typically, it's really, really hard to get the money back, depending on how the money left you. We always encourage seniors, and I think we talked about this in our last program. We always encourage folks, certainly never to pay for things by any obscure methods. Typically, when we pay for things, we pay by cash, by check, by credit card, or by debit card. When folks are asking you to pay for things by cryptocurrency, by Bitcoin, by wire transfer, money order, or gift cards, that should send up a lot of red flags. And I'll even say, if they're asking you to pay by cash and someone's gonna pick it up from you, or just if it just feels really weird, it should be a red flag. And so the reason they ask you to pay by cryptocurrency, wire transfer, money order, Bitcoin, or gift cards is because when you send money out through those means, it's almost impossible to trace that money, which makes it impossible to get that money back. When you download money into an app, again, it makes it really difficult to trace where that money's going, which makes it impossible to get that money back. And so certainly police are going to investigate, but there's no guarantees there. When you spend, let's say there's a fraudulent transaction on your credit card, specifically your credit card company will flag that and they can get you that money back. Banks are not on your debit card. It's sometimes harder to get that money back. And so we encourage folks that if you're going to use a card, use your credit card to buy things as opposed to your debit card for two reasons. One, your debit card, again, if something happens fraudulently on your debit card, banks aren't always obligated to give that money back to you. But also, if someone steals your information, they have access to your cash. And that's what you don't want. Credit card companies, again, if fraudulent transactions happen on a credit card companies in most cases are obligated to give that money back to you, but also they don't have access to your cash. They merely have access to your credit. And again, those credit card companies, again, in most cases, have to give that money back to you if it can be proven that it's fraudulent. Other questions?
We've got some thank yous. Yeah, that was again, that was great. Um and just last chance for any questions for Sean, but another, I mean it's just amazing how clever the scammers are and how important it is to kind of try to stay one step ahead of them. And that's why I think these informational sessions are so vital because I mean, I feel like I'm pretty savvy, but I learned a lot today. So I think it's just really great and we all need to stay vigilant and really appreciate all that you're doing. And please check our website for the next one. Is it next month, Sean? I can't remember the date
I think the
for
next
our
one's in
next one.
August.
August. Okay, so check our website. We typically do these. This is a series of four. Again, we are also grateful to our partnership with Virginia SMP and also grateful to Oak Hill Bank for sponsoring this series. And don't forget, if you know anyone who missed it, they can access this on the Aging Together website at agingtogether.org. So thanks so much for being with us today, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you, Miss Ellen.
Thank you.